So I've just released my new Skillshare class on Notion for students. More on that later on. Hi, my name is Mario and I am a 16-year-old A-level student from Spain. In this video I'm going to show you how I use Notion, not only to take some notes and to flex on how cool they are without any real purpose, but to actually do some effective studying. So here are the timestamps for this video. If you want to skip ahead, you can skip to any given moment that you might find useful. So I'm first going to do a quick overview of my own academic system within Notion, my main page and my individual classes. Then I will also show you some of my notes, showing you how I use Notion in order to study for my different subjects, such as chemistry and English literature. Then I will also show you how I actually apply two study techniques called active recall and spaced repetition, which are proven scientifically to be the two most effective study techniques. Okay, so here we are in my Notion page. As you can see, my central academic system basically. In here I have all my classes and I have my 𝐒𝐭𝐲𝐶 calendar template, which you will take a look at later on. I already talked about this a bit in my first video, so if you watch that, I have something such as a monthly view that you can see in here, filtering only those things that are within the next month. So there are some minor improvements to the other template I linked my first video. Remember that you have a link down here to get the template, to duplicate it straight into your Notion and get started, and maybe do some tweaks or adjustments so that it fits you better. So okay, we're here inside Notion and we're just gonna go and do the quick tour. I'm gonna show you a bit of everything very quickly so that you can see how I basically organize my stuff. So as you can see in here, there's a cover, a very simple cover. In here we have a call out, which is one of Notion's features. And then in here we have quick links to everything we need. So if we want to check our calendar, we go straight away to here. We have our calendar, Google Drive, Classroom. Here's where I have some books digitally. And in here I have my subjects clear so that I can just go straight into them. Physics AS, for example, I go straight into it. And in here, as you can see, I have a page called All Classes, in which I organize my whole classes. Every class I've taken since I started using Notion. And then I have in here a 𝐒𝐭𝐲𝐶 calendar template. And here is the view of the month, of the following month. But we can go into all and have everything I've done using Notion. It's great. It's a great to-do list in which you can also have a calendar view. And you can keep track of everything you need to do very easily. So yeah, once you've seen these, I also have the week one, which is quite simple, and then the month. And then, yeah, I think that's a very quick tour over my Notion main page, my academic system. So let's just go straight into the different notes from the different subjects, and so you can see how I personally study for them. So yeah, let's just go straight into the first note we're gonna go over, and that's gonna be from chemistry. Okay, so let's go into here. It's gonna be within topic 2, atomic structure and the periodic table, and I'm gonna go over the topic of ionization energies. So as you can see, I have lots of toggles, which is this little thing that when you click, it expands, as you will see right now. So hopefully you will see the logic behind why I do the things I do. So let's just go straight into it. So first, definition, and I have a toggle. So the aim of this is for me to see definition and say, okay, I have to recall the definition of ionization energies. So I have to think about it without having the answer in front of me, because sometimes it's pretty easy to think that you know something when you have the answer in front of you. So for example, that's why rereading and highlighting isn't the best and most effective study method, because you sometimes trick yourself and think that you already know what's in front of you, but you haven't recalled it, so you don't really know it. It's just there and it's not part of your information and your retreat. So yeah, let's just go into it. So definition of ionization energy. I know it is the energy required to remove an electron from 1 mole at gaseous state of a substance, of an element, and to convert it into a single charged positive ion. So I think that's the definition. Let's just go and check. So we can see in here basically the amount of energy, enthalpy, which is the same. So the good thing of this is that we can have a way to test ourselves without having the answer in front of us. We can have instant feedback on our performance and see what we missed out or what we didn't really understand. So yeah, we can see here everything, and I can also have this. If I had a paper, I could also do this to make sure that I understand the ionization energies. And yeah, so this graph is pretty important. I have it in here as a photo so that I can remind myself of the pattern of the graph of the ionization energies, in this case of sodium. And once I see this, if I really understand the graph, I can answer to these questions. So let's just go straight and answer them. Okay, so let's go do this one. Why do successive ionization energies increase? Because more energy, more enthalpy is required to take an electron, to remove an electron. And the reason for this is the fact that each time the electrons that are going to be taken out are closer to the nucleus, to a closer distance, and therefore they have more attraction. There is also a lower ratio electron to proton. So basically, let's not get very technical, but basically I would say that. So let's go and check it out, and I can see, okay, ratio proton electron. So the good thing of it, once again, I can test myself pretty easily, have the answer in front of me, see if there's any gap in my understanding. Maybe I didn't get this fact, and this is quite important, because if not, I would be getting very superficial, and I need to go deeper into, you know, okay, it's not just the distance, but the fact that there are same protons attracting less electrons. So okay, you basically see how it's going. I'm gonna show you right now how I study for English literature, and I basically did my whole revision for ICSE on that, so I'm just gonna show you. So as you can see, we're here in English Lit ICSE, so I'm gonna show you how I basically revised for my exam of English Lit ICSE. I got a good grade, I got an A, so I suppose this worked. It kind of did. So yeah, let's just go straight into it. So first, you can see I have divided this into three: drama, poetry, and prose. So for drama, I had to read The Crucible by Arthur Miller. So here we are inside The Crucible by Arthur Miller, the novel I had to read. So here's some interesting information that I don't really need to know, but give me some context when understanding this book. But here we have the most important stuff. So we have a toggle in here to see the analysis of the title. The Crucible refers to a container used by witches, and then the witch trials. And then I have different pages for the setting, for the characters, and for the themes. I have the setting for each act. So Act 1 is in the attic of the local preacher, Reverend Paris. Then I also have the characters, all the characters in here, once again with the toggle so that I can test myself on them. For example, John Proctor. So I can check in here and have a very nice description that I have myself made after reading the book. And then I also have summaries for each act of the book. So I basically done a whole summary in here, and I can have access from whichever device I own. Not only when I'm with my computer at home with my laptop, but I can also do it when I'm in the bus with my phone, or when I'm with a tablet, I can also do it. Here I have a whole summary of every single act. And yeah, this helped me a lot in kind of understanding everything and internalizing all the different characters, the setting, the themes as well. And yeah, then I also did all my poetry stuff in here, having all the poems. As you can see, it's amazing. I used this, possibly this was the most important and useful thing for which I used Notion before, and I basically learned every single poem thanks to this. The fact that you are able to add an icon, an emoji, I think it's pretty good, because you can already relate each poem to an emoji, to something you can understand and you can retrieve later on in the exam. So for example, if I wanted to retrieve a poem when I was in the exam, for example, I get this one by Isabel Dodson, Plenty. And what I would do is know that I have this icon, which would be the water. So this has to do something with water. So I know Plenty is a poem that talks about the contrast of the author's life, when in her childhood she didn't have basically anything, including water. She didn't have any water. She talks about droughts, and now she says that she's in a luxurious place, has tons of water. A good way of memorizing this is by using this. So yeah, and then as you can see, I have everything in here, including a brief summary, the format and structure, the voice and tone, the language, the themes. So a great way to understand the poems, to study them. And yeah, this helped me a lot in my exam. That's basically why I got an A. I don't think there was any other cause apart from that. So let's go into the prose, which is in custody. And once again in here, you can see the date, a quick summary, and some questions. So you can see that I basically like to test myself as much as I can, because testing yourself is basically the best way to gain knowledge. I even have some questions from past papers to learn. So for example, explore the obstacles that Devon faces in the book. So you know, you can have everything in here. So yeah, I really love this. I used it a lot. And yeah, let's just go into the next thing. So right now I have shown you 2 ways in which I take notes and I study, but mainly using the study technique active recall. So right now I'm going to show you how I personally use spaced repetition. So this is an exam I recently did, Cambridge Advanced Examination. And yeah, this helped me a lot in my paper 1. Basically, the technique spaced repetition says that you are able to retain very high quality knowledge if you're able to test yourself on repeated intervals. And here what I did was different exercises from each type of question within a paper on different times, and tested myself and got the percentage. And yeah, so in here I could see whether or not I was improving. In here you can see I got 6 out of 8 and then 8 out of 8 did improve. In here it stayed the same, in here once again stayed the same, and in here it decreased. But as you can see, it is a great way to track your knowledge on a topic. This was just a little exam, but if you want to track your knowledge on a class, you will have the different topics in each column, as you can see in here, and test yourself on different times. So for example, let's say that today, which is 17 January, I test myself on this and I give myself a 9 out of 10. So this will be quite useful so that I can track my knowledge later on. And yeah, and I can also decide which topics to focus on, because if I'm better on one than another, I should attempt the second repetition of the one that I am worst at first. So this is a great way not only to make sure that you're studying effectively using spaced repetition, but it's also a great way to know what topics to prioritize. So you can have a tangible measurement of your knowledge on different topics and focus on those that you are weaker on. So I hope you guys got some insights and some ideas on how to use Notion for different topics. As you have seen, I showed you one for chemistry, which is a science, and then from English Lit, which is more related to writing and yeah, closer to English or to history. But yeah, hopefully this gives you some idea of how to use it, and you understand a bit more of how I personally use it myself to do some effective stuff, not just to brag that it's pretty cool, but to actually do something effective. So if you want to learn more on how to use Notion from a student perspective, you might want to check out my brand new Skillshare class. It is more than an hour worth of videos in which I go over everything a student needs to know about Notion, showing you how to build your own academic system and how to use Notion's features at full potential from a student perspective, learning how to use math and chemistry notation. So check that out, drop a like in this video if you found it helpful or useful, and also consider subscribing to the channel to not miss future videos, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.